shown the Morgan Motor Company several times here on Drive, but just like anything else, different people bring out different things at the same places. That's why I asked Matt to join and give his perspective of the Malvern-based company.
Oh my God, look at that.
That was just there, and there was that bend
You have to
over.
get this is Vince when he started here. Look at that hair.
That's when he was in the Jackson 5. I wish. As long as I'm on Michael, I've been there.
I think the jacket I just bought is lined in that hair.
Long gone.
That's how many years, Vince?
That's 1977.
1977 he's been here. How many of those frames do you think you've cranked out? 7,000 frames that guy has made. That's amazing. How many has he got right? In America and
Yes.
in Europe and people are obsessed with having the fastest car. And even if someone sells the McLaren MP4, the Ferrari, people can't wait to modify them with bigger turbos and make them faster. But I tried to look, and it is very hard to find any example of an aftermarket modified Morgan. If it's been done, I couldn't find it.
I know they have.
There have been, but they're few and far between. Am I right?
The point about, I think, a Morgan really is it's all about balance.
Right.
It's not really about ultimate power. And I mean, the Morgan that I like is the one that brakes later than everybody else, that goes faster into the corner, that actually, because it's lightweight, probably comes out faster too. You know, the sort of philosophy of Morgan, if you like, is to have a car that you know, drives really well around the curves, around the twists and the curves, rather than the outright sort of macho performance on the drag strip.
Right.
Which is, to be honest, a sort of American speciality, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And I think with the combination of BMW and fairly sophisticated chassis engineering with Morgan, perhaps there's a little more sort of concentration on the balance and on the drivability of the car and the finessing of the car.
But ultimately, a 0 to 60 time or a lap time, do you find that to be less important than just how happy the driver is when he's driving the car, regardless of whatever those numbers are?
What I enjoy, to be honest, and this is a personal thing, but what I really enjoy is having a car that has that sort of that classic style, you know, and there's no doubt about it that some of the cars built in the 1950s and the 1960s have an awful lot more style than a bewinged space rocket that you get nowadays. I like having a car with that classic style, but is actually pretty much as fast off the line as the thing that looks like a sort of a futuristic rocket.
Well, I kind of like it because if I buy a car, I think it's a lot more important that the car feels fast than that it is fast. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's to do as well with feeling comfortable in it. And I mean, of course, when you're in some of these cars, I mean, if you're a professional racing driver, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
But if you're not a professional racing driver, then to have a windscreen that's, you know, 2 foot in front of you, to have a pillar that you can't see through, to be, the engine is round your head, to have all that sort of noise and a little slit to side windows. I've often wondered how those Audi guys cope, really, because you know, in the LMP1 Audi, you know, they haven't even got a side window anymore.
This is the best smelling room in the whole factory, I think. The whole factory is just, you say, oh, you go to the room that smells like wood. That's where you want to be. He knows what he's doing. I can tell. You know exactly what you're doing. That's like you're an expert in wood. So how much time would you spend on each individual piece before it goes on the car?
Till it's right.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Okay.
You know, it's I'm only cleaning this up. It's, I'll show you the other side.
Is this the rough side?
Yeah, that's not. These are just putting a jig and glue together. This is heated up glue. You know, it's like aircraft.
Yeah.
Glue. And
so that's the rough side. What's the smooth side?
Yeah, let me just make it fit in this aperture.
Oh, that's a door.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that's a door.
So we just fit it there in that way, and fit it that flush that way.
So you're really not going to get a door. This door is for this car and only this car.
Yeah. You could probably make it fit another one at a push. We could probably make it fit, but it's not
So is each car with one person, or each wood structure, or
one
do you
frame,
guys?
yeah.
So you're on this one start to
Yeah,
finish.
I'll just put this door on, then it's finished.
Do you get to put your signature on it somewhere or
No,
anything
but
like that?
you put a number on. I know, you know which is yours, just by looking at the countersinks.
Oh, you can just tell.
Yeah, yeah.
So you could walk around and go, okay, that I made that one. or-
Sometimes it's you know, you have to check, but
Can you tell other people's work too, or just your own?
I'm not interested in anybody else's.
That's the answer right
But
there.
except mine, I've got big old numbers. Those are sort of 50-year-old numbers, and they're quite big. Over that, he's got small numbers, so little things like that.
What is the most modern tool that you use?
The battery stuff I expect? These.
But even these are 30 years old inventions at least, right?
Oh yeah, but they're better. Battery ones are better now. And these,
You mean just the fact that it's battery powered and not plugged in? That's what makes it.
You might have had them 30 years in America, but we haven't.
They just
We've only just got rid of pump screwdrivers.
It's amazing how there's like 5 different pieces of wood here that it just feels like one piece.
You still have all the jigs and all the tools to make these old?
We do more or less. I mean, obviously the company's now 103 years old, so we don't really go pre-war.
Yeah.
There are specialists who do actually, and I mean, if you've got a 3-wheeler, you can have the whole thing rebuilt for you.
That's amazing.
Which is built pre-war. But no, we go from the 50s onwards, really.
Got it. Okay.
And actually, when you
While we're here, can I jump in for one
Yeah, you do, Dan.
yeah.
Does if in terms of originality and
Yeah.
collector cars,
Yeah.
and you can
Yeah.
have a survivor car and a
Yeah.
restored car, given this, maybe has a 40-year shelf life of the wood,
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
does that affect the long-term collector car value, or if you have something sent back here
Yeah.
and restored and re-wooded or whatever the term is?
I mean, in fact, you'd be surprised, especially with modern wood preservatives. I mean, this wasn't really put in a tank of modern chemical
Right.
preservatives. So that's probably why it won't last as long as the modern frame. The modern frame will outlast steel.
Okay.
I don't know whether it'll outlast aluminium, but it'll outlast steel. I think, to be honest, the collectability of a car is based on its rarity value. It's based on how many were built. And then it's also based on originality, you're right. But to be honest, all these days, you've got cars that have been, restored
Repaired in some way, yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that, if it was an original car in the first place. What is obviously wrong is taking a chassis number that didn't exist and recreating something.
Yeah. How's it going? What's the most advanced tool you have here? Is it a battery?
Yeah.
Vince said the newest thing he's got is a battery.
Yeah, today.
Oh, that's the older one. Yeah.
I got that today.
Did you? Yes. Really advanced tooling coming into the factory.
I have to give an arm or a leg to one.
Yeah. So what's
Hook screwdriver there. We'll do it.
Oh my God! Look at that. This is.
Yeah, still using that.
That's amazing. God, I love this place.
We just use that to get the jigs on and off, because we don't got nothing big as that.
Oh,
so we
yeah.
just use the old-fashioned hand tool.
God,
So.
this is great, man. It's like building antique furniture you can drive. If you were going to retire and I was going to take over your job, how long would it take you to teach me to do your job?
A month.
That's significant.
Yeah. Yeah, about a month.
Considering at its most basic, you're drilling and cutting wood. It's a month of training on drilling and cutting wood is not a small amount.
You pick it all up in a month.
Oh, you have compressed air. There's a major innovation in
We
automotive
need robots.
technology.
We've got a compressor.
Who needs robots when you have people like this? It's great. It's like whether you like what the engineers or the designers have done or not, you can tell that an enthusiast made a decision, or a very small group of people. I mean, how many people work here? 100?
180.
Yeah, you might have 180 accountants at GM. You know what I mean? So the decision-making process is such fewer people.
Oh, and the passion's there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the passion's there in the mass production car industry, really.
Not in the
It
offices
is
so
not-
much.
No,
So, yeah.
no. But the passion in low volume is still very much there. We all the guys who work on this car really want it to be the best.
Yeah.
So, they and when you watch them leaving the factory, I know everybody feels, we did that.
And do you find that you're more nimble as a company because you're smaller.
Of
If you
course.
need to make a change, that
Of
change
course.
can be implemented in literally the next car you make versus going through this process.
Absolutely, no, absolutely, and we will do exactly that. So, I mean, any customer issues or, you know, when we launch a new design.
Lunch bell? Is that the back to work bell?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Now, when we launch a new design, I mean, there will be feedback from the dealers. Typically, obviously, what we do first is build, say, 50 dealer demonstrators. We'll actually take all the information from those test drives and those dealer drives and then feed it back into the production system and make sure that, you know, that issue is solved.
Yeah. I like it. It's nice. I like to know that if something needs to be changed, it can be changed like on the next car.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah.
This, I'm not trying to do a stand-up, but this is the coolest thing, probably in the whole factory actually, because this tool is older than my father, and it's still being used to build cars today. Basically, it's just a very simple jig that's used for bending wood for the frames for right here. See this? This is what they bend with it. And all you have to do is put layers of wood in here with a bunch of glue. There's clearly remnants of it over there. And leave it for a few hours, and then you get a rigid structure made of curved wood. And I mean, this looks like it came off a pirate ship, and it was involved in building the supercar that I drove this afternoon. It's like mind-boggling. Come here and then go to Ferrari. And then realize that at the end of the day, the cars that come out are equally reliable.
There was another thing actually that somebody the other day commented on, which I thought was very true. You can have too much, what's the word, sort of uniformity. Mm-hmm. And one of the interesting things is if you hand punch the louvers, when the sunlight hits them, you know, you get very slight...
Just imperfect enough.
Yeah, and it's a bit like a Savile Row suit or something. You know,
Yeah.
you just want that stitching which is hand done rather than by a machine.
Or tuning
because,
a piano.
to be honest,
They
it's
tune it
much
and
more
then-
interesting. It's
Yeah.
much more. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's nicer.